Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Joe Theodore. I'm an astrologer and teacher. And today, I want to make a video on something that I really didn't want to have to make. Because this isn't a channel for politics or anything like that. But I've said many times here on the channel that we're living in a time where the collective karma is rearing its ugly head in ways that have never been rearing its ugly head before. Now, one could argue the collective has been always a place of chaos, always a place where we can track and map astrology, which is true. That's why in astrology, we call this mundane astrology. There are astrologers that are strictly mundane astrologers, meaning they are only, in existence. Their passion is to literally analyze collective world events, this, that, and the other thing. It's just like any other profession, right? Astrologers that specialize in certain things. Now, I'm an astrologer that focuses on psycho-spiritual matters, meaning I merge psychology and spirituality and bring my expertise in the spiritualities that resonate most with me and the way I view the nature of reality, the creator, God, the orchestration of our soul contracts, etc. Many of you know I take a very shamanic approach to my work, utilizing astrological shamanic magic, and I've discussed that a lot here on the channel. I actually have a whole course now on my teaching portal, links down below, where I pretty much give you an entire 6-hour experience of my philosophy on astrology. I teach you a little bit of astrology. I talk about God, the creator, the nature of reality, non-duality. I talk about healing, and, time travel and just wacky kind of shamanic stuff that we can use to journey to our past and kind of heal things and understand our karma, this, that, and the other thing, and why things have happened to us. And that course is called Mapping the Soul, by the way. But I'm not someone who is into the mundane stuff 24/7, but as an astrologer, it is part of my innate way of being that I do track and map what goes on in the world. But my priority here on the channel is to not, obsess over that, to make that a clear focus. But I think we're at a time in astrology as a community, as a science, as a pseudoscience to what the scientists would say, even though I think part of the new wave of Pluto and Aquarius, the age of Pluto Aquarius, is going to start to prove these scientists wrong, and they're going to have to reckon with the truth of this, phenomena that we are, the astrology community, astrologers, because there are too many things now that are clear as day playing out in the world stage that are too hard to ignore. So it is my duty from time to time to discuss things going on in the world. It is not my main focus. It's not like every single video will be that, of course, but there's a lot happening now and a lot of shifts. And I've spoken about some of this before. Every outer planet shifting signs in the next year. We're in a new age of Aquarius, which we haven't seen in over 200 years. We have shifts of power happening and divisions happening like never before. And we're in an age of technology where we're going to start to question what it even means to be a human. And actually tomorrow I'm releasing a video that will be sort of a promotion for a Pluto and Aquarius masterclass I'm releasing. Again, links down below. And it's an hour and a half about me, or with me, talking about Pluto and Aquarius, the next 20 years, which is how long Pluto and Aquarius will be floating around. So that's almost a quarter. That's almost a quarter of a century long. And I talk a lot about what we can expect and what we can expect in our own individual lives as well, because it's not all, bad, of course. Pluto brings beautiful things, to us, but there's always challenge, in some way, shape, or form, because it's transformational. Death, rebirth is pretty much Pluto in a nutshell. But today I want to talk about what happened yesterday, which is Donald Trump almost got assassinated. And I have been, and I hate to say the P word, but I've been predicting, of course, that something was going to happen with Trump regarding this Mars-Uranus conjunction. When Mercury hit Uranus about a month or so ago, he got convicted in New York. His sentencing is actually supposed to be Monday, Tuesday, which is when this conjunction is exact at 26 degrees. And then Tuesday, it will still be conjunct. And then Wednesday is when Mars will pass Uranus and be at 27 degrees. But every astrologer I know, worth talking, has been mentioning, yeah, Trump is in the crosshairs, no pun intended. Now, for the record, if anyone's watching up until this point, if anyone writes any, polarizing and negative political comments, I will delete them. This is not a political video. This is just talking facts. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. And this is not a place for your, your promotional opinion on that. And I say that with all respect and love. This is just about sharing with you the reality of astrology, even though I know most of you believe in astrology. But these are the type of things we can share with the world, to kind of say, hey, look at this patterning here. Now, yesterday, we had to me, a conjunction is within 3 to 5 degrees, right? So we're at literally 1 degree away. 25 degrees Mars, 26 degrees Uranus. Now, I'm going to show you a chart, and this chart is Trump's chart. So his midheaven is at 24 degrees Taurus. And we see Mars, this is the chart for today, Sunday, July 14th, Mars is at 25 degrees. So Mars passed over his midheaven within the last 36 hours. Uranus has been floating over his midheaven for quite some time. Now, I don't talk about fixed stars. I don't talk about stuff like that because, I don't find it necessary in my astrological work, so to speak. I mean, for my own personal study and amusement and curiosities, yeah, I read about that stuff. I try to understand stuff the best that I can. But, for me, astrology is very simple. You do not need to know much about astrology to really help someone or to really make some accurate assessments. But I have to mention the star Algol. Now, Algol is a star, and it's called the demon star. I'm not going to get into any deeper knowledge than just that, but the demon star Algol is usually associated with negative things, death being one of them, and just a bunch of other things. But what's wild about Algol is that it also rules decapitation. It rules head trauma. And now we're dealing with Mars, which I've been saying for a while now. Mars causes danger. Mars can be very aggressive. Mars is the god of war. Mars can be bullets, car accidents, anything that has to do with violence, rage, anger. And Trump almost got assassinated. He got hit in the ear. The goal was to shoot him in the head, I'm sure. But he got head trauma. His ear got grazed by a bullet. He was bleeding. The head was involved. This is a massive astrological synchronicity, and one that most of us were anticipating. Now, I kind of had a link that it had something maybe to do with this court date. We will see what happens this coming week, but Trump is not out of the woods, of course, and this political season is only going to get worse and crazier. Part of me was hoping that maybe like Biden and him would get together, and sort of make like a nice statement to the best of their abilities about, the fact that no one should be creating political violence. But we're not going to see that most likely because the cuts are too deep, I'm sure. But like I said in my last video yesterday, Uranus also, like a Mercury, in my opinion, is a more jacked up, pumped full of steroids version of communication, sudden things, sudden, bouts of information. Uranus is the Tower card in the tarot. It is sudden, unexpected revelations, communication, in my opinion, and uprise. That's why with the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that we had, that was the beginning of some serious campus protests for the Israel-Palestine, war, the Israel-Gaza thing. So again, we're dealing with communication, protest. We're dealing with anger and rage, in a collective way. So Mars is all about anger. So at the time with the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, that was more about maybe religious ideology, Israel versus Gaza, Palestine, that was very expansive in many things. It was, the tail end of, Jupiter's time in Taurus. So we were dealing with, collective worldly, kind of earthly things. Taurus is an earth sign, of course. So dealing with things going on that are very dense and in the ground, and, dealing with, again, resources and this, that, and the other thing. But Mars, every astrologer has been claiming this was going to be an aggressive time, an aggressive moment. Trump was going to be in the front and center of this. I don't know what Biden's chart is, but I know his astrology is pretty spot on too, with a lot of shit going on. But this was all about Trump, 100%. Now, what's interesting to even further my claim, and all of my astrologer colleagues are talking about this, and the only reason, again, I'm making this video is so I can have it on my channel if anyone wants to ever look back, and, or maybe I could refer to it for anyone who maybe doesn't believe in astrology and be like, hey, just watch this video, maybe learn a little bit about astrology, and, just understand that this is like, there's patterns and synchronicities that exist in this world that, yes, we can't explain, but they exist. Now, this other chart I'm going to show you right now, I want you to take a look at this. Now, the last time Mars was in Taurus and Uranus was, it wasn't freshly in Taurus, but it's been in Taurus for about, a couple of years already, I would say. But the last time Mars was in Taurus, it ingressed freshly the night of January 6th, 2021. And we all know what happened on January 6, 2021. That was the pivotal shift in American history where a president as divisive as Trump, right? I'm not going to say caused or anything like that, but what happened, we all know. A riot took place. Some called it an insurrection, but it was a riot nonetheless. People died. People got hurt. He didn't concede the election. Of course, it was just a mess. Like, it was a defining point where a president didn't concede an election. I don't care what you believe, what that is, but that's what happened. He didn't admit that he lost, right? A riot happened and things got out of hand. And it was a defining moment in political presidential history, in the modern age, after decades and decades and decades of stuff like this never, ever, ever happening. Because back in the ancient times, or, 100 years ago, stuff like this happened all the time. Assassination attempts even happened all the time. But what are the chances of this, guys, right? And again, 0 degrees Mars, 6 degrees, Uranus. That's a very generous conjunction. I would not consider that a total conjunction, but still, the moment Mars enters, we're dealing with hours before that. Because the insurrection or the riot that happened January 6th, that happened like midday, right? So Mars was still in Aries, the tail end of Aries. Then it ingressed into Taurus, and Taurus is where Trump's midheaven is. So it's still in the realm of his midheaven energy. But it is almost very, very, very loosely conjunct Uranus. The same situation we were dealing with yesterday and today and whatever else might happen with Trump, right? That's wild. This is wild stuff. Now, one last thing I will say about what happened yesterday is Mars-Uranus conjunction, not only with Algol, not only has Trump in the crosshair, literally, where he almost got his head blown off. And even the shooter, apparently, he got hit in the head. And a lot of people, not to get graphic, guys, trigger warning, they said he got shot in the head. And his, with those bullets that come from these, these soldiers or whoever shot him, they're big bullets. They really cause damage if you get shot. And his head, I don't know if it came off or whatever the case, but apparently it was a massive headshot. So Algol has not in this situation that happened yesterday involving Trump in Trump's universe, heads were a part of this equation. Now, what has happened since this has happened? Now, I do have a Twitter account, guys, because believe it or not, there's a massive astrology community on Twitter. I'm not very active on it. If anyone's on Twitter and you want to connect with me there, or, I met a lot of colleagues a couple of years ago when I was more active on Twitter, but Twitter is a disgusting place, as we all know. And, but there is, to be honest, there is an astrology community there. There is a lot of people who talk astrology or share astrology. And, but the thing is, the algorithm in Twitter feeds you all crazy things, right? And it's easy to get sucked into the rage of this world. And I'll tell you right now, I only still check my Twitter in the morning because that's where I get my news. I just want to see what's going on in the day, this, that, and the other thing. But I went on Twitter last night and I'm like, let me just see what people are saying, So I was brave enough to look into some of the comment sections and this, that, and the other thing. And the amount of people on the right that are, I won't call anybody out, but all I'm trying to tell you is that Mars is vulgar. The amount of hate, the amount of calls to violence that all Democrats must die. I've was reading things from people who obviously support Trump, this, that, whatever, but both sides, the left and the right, you would think more people would kind of come together, but that's not going to happen. Of course, the Trump supporters are going to be, they're enraged. We're talking about so much rage and hate from, and again, not all Trump supporters, but the ones that are obviously unhinged. And some of these comments I was reading, and even from some high-level media people who were obviously on the right, and journalists, people that have blue check marks and everything. The rhetoric was so full of rage and hate and violence. People were calling for violence. The God of War is speaking through these people, right? So again, astrology does not segregate. Astrology does not, the Mars, for example, this transit is coming through us. We have energy in this Martian game, but it manifests in every group and individual, right? So Mars is manifesting in a very scary, violent way with one particular group of people. And this is something I was also expecting in some way, shape, or form. In my last video, I said expect rage, fits of rage, unexpected rage, anger, violence. I've been saying this for a week or so. And that's all coming to a head right now. Now, the good news is that Mars will go into Gemini. But again, Gemini is air. So we're going to have fire in an air sign. And I know Trump also has some significant Gemini placements, right? So there's a lot again, nothing's going to simmer down in the collective, guys. So just hang on. But again, this stuff doesn't affect our daily life. Most of us, and I actually said this recently to someone, I said, listen, we see all this stuff on the news. Yes, we're so divided in America. Yes, this, that, and the other thing. Yes, people I know in Europe and other countries are, scared for us, because the world looks to America as, something that used to be very inspiring, So a lot of people are worried about what's going on here. But the truth is, and I said this to someone the other day, and even last night, I said, what most people are doing on a Saturday night right now, most 95% of people right now in the country, I said they're either at home watching Netflix or trying to have a peaceful night. They're trying to, get through, I know a lot of people struggle and have hard times, but they're either dealing with their own stuff, trying to figure out their own life, or people are out at a restaurant or a bar trying to have a good time. Not everybody is trying to start a civil war. This calls for civil war and all this other stuff. This is all just more and more, part of the Pluto return and all this other stuff. I talk a lot about this actually in the Pluto class I'm releasing tomorrow. Most people are civil, believe it or not. It's only when these topics arise that we get looped into the madness. And, We have to be careful not to get looped into the madness, because most of us are civil. Most of us will help someone in the street if they fall down, And yes, we have our problems. And yes, the astrology is pointing to government shifts and global shifts that will change everything forever. But there's a lot of inspiring things that potentially can come from this too. But again, growing pains hurt. They're painful. And, that's just the truth of life. No matter how much love and light you want to sprinkle on stuff, the truth is you still need to keep your head on straight and your feet in the ground. So that being said, guys, I'll see you very soon. We'll talk more about maybe this. I'm not sure if I'm going to make another video on Mars, Uranus, honestly, because again, in our personal lives, Mars, Uranus can be very inspiring. Like I have had some positive things arise with Mars. Mars, I'm ruled, my chart ruler is Mars. So for me, Mars really activates things, for me to have that energy, for me to, get inspired and to, and for the Uranus moment, I'm getting a lot of inspiration and things happening very suddenly where, for me, it's been very productive. So it's not all bad. And yeah, I've been seeing a lot of anger around me, people kind of getting triggered, more than usual. Yeah, Mars has been doing its thing, but again, I'm like observing that in the world, and we are all observing what's going on in the collective. So this stuff is all over, but for many of us, we, these transits don't manifest all the time in negative ways, for us. So, that being said, my friends, that's all I have for you. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Check out everything I have to offer in the description box. Please connect with me with a reading if you would like. And I'm actually considering lowering my rates probably for a few months because I know, my rates are, a little pricey, but, I'm a firm believer that, especially with tools such as an astrology, and because all of us astrologers need to make a living in this world, this is a very, compared to a tarot reading or something else, this is a much deeper, practice and gift to the world. And, but I understand, if people can't afford some rates. So I'm considering lowering my rates drastically. And I'll let you know when I do that. And I might just do it for a short amount of time. I don't know yet. I'm just throwing it out there because I know a lot of people want a reading from me, but it could be a little bit too much, and I understand that. So, yeah, guys, just watch out for that because I probably will offer some discounts for a little while, because I know we live in a time where a lot of us need as much insight as we can. I get that. And I would love to be able to provide, even if it's just one reading in the next couple of months on a discounted rate. And then in the future, maybe because in my everyday life, I charge what I charge, and people around my local area, they know astrologers charge a certain amount, but, for all of you lovely folks, I understand that it could be a little too much. So I might lower them. I probably will, just not sure what number I'm going to lower them to. And because I know all of us, a lot of you, I know have been reaching out, and I think we can all use a little bit of a reading. I'm actually going to probably reach out to an astrologer friend of mine and get a reading very soon. So that's it, guys. That's all I have for you. I'm rambling again, and I'll see you tomorrow in the next video I upload.